few news stories for you. Firstly, I have a few updates for you from Somalia, where President Farmajo suspended PM Roble. But PM Roble decided to attend his office. His office is in Presidential Palace. Offices of the President and Prime Minister are in Presidential Palace. Did he manage to enter his office? And how is the situation in Mogadishu? Are there any tensions? Could there be armed confrontation between supporters of PM and President? We have some updates for you. Secondly, Sudanese Army Chief Abdul Fattah al-Burhan has passed some orders. He has given special powers to Sudanese security officials to launch a crackdown against protesters. We have seen massive protests in Sudan this month, and another protest is expected on the 30th of December. Before that, he has given some special powers to Sudanese security officials. Abdullah Hamdok, Sudanese PM, is once again considering as a nation. Some updates for you. And lastly, viewers, Tigray is fasting and praying for 3 days. Today is the first day of this fasting and praying. On Friday, Abune Asayas, Archbishop of Mekelle Diocese, had requested 3-day fasting and prayer across Tigray. Why did he call for this fasting and prayer? Because he issued a statement as well on Friday. We have details of the statement for you. Firstly, viewers, Somalia, where President Farmajo suspended PM Roble a few hours ago. Tensions are running high in the streets of Mogadishu. Mobilization of some armed groups can also be seen on the streets of Mogadishu. Despite suspension by President, Prime Minister Roble decided to attend his office today. His office is in Presidential Palace, and he managed to enter his office a few hours ago, 1 hour ago, I think. He was accompanied by some ministers and some commanders of Somali military and police. In a statement, Somali Prime Minister Roble accused President Farmajo of trying to militarily take over his office in Presidential Palace. But he has managed to enter his office. Now he is in his office in Presidential Palace. Tensions are running high in the streets of Mogadishu. UK and US embassies in Somalia have issued a statement. They are not taking any sides. They are saying that the two sides should de-escalate. They are calling for calm. They're not backing any side so far. But it seems that this confrontation could turn into an armed confrontation. PM Roble says that President Farmajo cannot suspend him. It's a violation of Somali constitution. On the other hand, Farmajo, President of Somalia, says that PM Roble is involved in corruption. That is why he has been removed from power, but cabinet can continue working. So there is a sort of stalemate in Somalia now. Important question, viewers, is what will regional governments do? What will Somali presidential opposition candidates do? What will Somali police and military do? We have seen splits in Somali police and military in previous confrontations between PM Roble and President Farmajo. Could there be a split in Somali military and police leading to a civil war in case of continuation of this political conflict? That remains to be seen. So far, what we can confirm, viewers, is that PM Roble is in his office in Presidential Palace. On the streets of Mogadishu, mobilization of some armed groups can be seen. We'll update you in coming hours. Secondly, viewers, Sudan, where massive protests are going on. Every week, tens of thousands of protesters march to presidential palace in Khartoum. Today, Abdul Fattah al-Burhan, Sudanese army chief, passed orders. He has given special powers to Sudanese security officials. Sudanese security officials are now empowered to carry out home searches, to detain protesters, to monitor them, and security officials will have immunity. I think 2 days ago, when protests was held in Khartoum, several police officials were injured in clashes between protesters and security officials. So that is why Sudanese army chief has granted immunity to Sudanese security officials, that they can take action against these protesters and they will not be prosecuted for their actions. A dangerous development, viewers, because we have seen around 40 casualties in the ongoing protests so far. 40 protesters have been killed. And secondly, according to USAID and Human Rights Body, 13 women were raped by some Sudanese security officials in a protest a few days ago. So if you are giving security officials immunity, there could be increase in violence against Sudanese protesters. Meanwhile, Abdullah Hamdok, Prime Minister of Sudan, is once again considering a resignation. A few days ago, we shared with you the news that he was about to resign. Then he met with Abdul Fattah al-Burhan. He changed his mind. Now, once again, we are hearing some reports that in coming hours, he could resign. So there is chaos in Sudan, like in Somalia, viewers. We know what's happening in Ethiopia. Ethiopia, Somalia, Sudan, there is instability which is engulfing this entire region. Lastly, viewers, Tigray is fasting and praying on Friday. Abune Asayas, Archbishop of Mekelle Diocese, called for 3 days of fasting and praying. In a statement, he said Tigray was alone. He said that Tigray was disappointed with the international community. International community was not doing anything. Tigray under siege, under drone strikes, no aid arriving in Tigray, shortage of medicines, no medicines to treat patients. So Tigray is in need of fasting and praying. That is why today fasting and praying has started. For 3 days, Tigray will observe this fasting and praying from Monday till Wednesday. Tigray was already fasting. I mean, there was shortage of food. We've been saying that aid was blocked. It was not allowed to travel to Tigray. So people were already fasting in some parts of Tigray. Now they're fasting for religious purposes and they are praying for the betterment of situation in Tigray. Tigray is on its own, no doubt. International community is not going to do anything to find a way out of this crisis. UN Security Council is split. African Union has been doing, it has been launching some efforts, some attempts, but so far the attempts have been largely unsuccessful. Obasanjo was reportedly in Ethiopia 24 hours ago, but we haven't heard what happened. He has met with all the stakeholders in Ethiopia. So far, nothing constructive has come out of his engagement with Mekelle and Addis Ababa. Maybe something good will come out of his engagement with all the stakeholders. Let's pray and hope for peace in Tigray, in Amhara, in the far regions of Ethiopia. Thank you for watching.